Saturday, April 21st of 2018. In a paranormal forum board, an anonymous user decided to post an image of an uncanny and unsettling set of rooms. As far as I can tell, this is the earliest point in time that this image was posted to the internet, although knowing the nature of 4chan and generally how the internet works, this is pretty unlikely to be the actual first time this image surfaced, with the real debut of this image probably being lost to the sands of time. Judging from the contents of the image itself, it's highly unlikely if we'll ever know where or even what it was. The image seems almost tinted in a yellow hue, the tacky wallpaper and carpet looks dilapidated and worn down. It's hard to make out, but it seems like there's a wet splotch stain on the carpet too. The lighting is set by a row of 4 roof lighting panels, but something about them seem off. Maybe it's perspective, but they look uneven and not centered to the room. Most strikingly is the weird room composition. It's almost like it was procedurally generated, as if it was in a video game like Minecraft or something. Tuesday, 14th of May, 2019. Around 1 year after this early post, a new one would appear with this excerpt lining the basis of the Backrooms and its mythos in the most intriguing paragraph written about it yet. If you're not careful and you no-clip out of reality in the wrong areas, you'll end up in the backrooms, where it's nothing but the stink of old moist carpet, the madness of mono yellow, and the endless background noise of fluorescent lights at maximum hum buzz, and approximately 600 million square miles of randomly segmented empty rooms to be trapped in. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you. Have I been here before? The Mandela effect is defined as an observed phenomenon in which a large segment of the population misremembers a significant event or shares a memory of an event that did not actually occur. So many things about this image, despite being insanely specific, has iconography that I'm sure at least a lot of people recognize, whether it be the tacky wallpapering that was perhaps at some point a nice white but has faded to a gross yellow, the feel of an old carpet that's gone hard and stale, and most of all, an extremely common ceiling light panels that seemingly get put into every building possible, whether that be office buildings, hospital, mall stores, and even schools. All of these things and more creating a very uncanny feeling of recognition somewhat. The post notably coined the term using the word backrooms, which was mostly used to refer to rooms, well, in the back of places like malls or stores. It also intertwined ideas like no clipping out of reality and the hum buzz of the lights. What I originally thought was the first time I saw the backrooms was when a short film went viral. I'm pretty sure a fair contingent of people have seen it too. After all, it does have 35 million views. For a solid half year, I was gaslit by this short film. I crossed my heart and I knew that I've heard or seen this concept of the backrooms before. People kept gaslighting me, being coy like, "Ahaha, Milo, you're so funny, that's the point of the backrooms. Haven't we all been there before?" No, but like, I swear, I remember it. Markiplier's 3 Scary Games compilation number 23, June 22, 2019. This video was literally 1 month after the original Backrooms post. It's been 3 years since then, and it's a compilation video, so it was really only about 4 minutes of gameplay, but it was enough. Enough for me to have a barely vague enough memory, but it was there, in my memory, just waiting to be unlocked. It's a creepy idea to think that what if one day, by some string of bad luck, you just happen to slip into a labyrinth of endless, seemingly random rooms, being utterly, completely alone, vulnerable, something vaguely recognizable yet familiar. Can you find an escape or get out? Are you the only thing stuck here? Are you really alone? Well, I mean, of course you're not alone. You have me here. Okay, now that I say that out loud, it might actually be worse. Wait, don't go, please. The idea of this place being utterly alone and stranded is, quite frankly, a very horrifying, scary, and terrifying concept, which, as I say this, you're probably wondering why you're here in the first place. Those damned YouTubers always inserting negative, angry opinions into their thumbnails and titles because it gives them a higher click-through rate. I did say in the title that I didn't think the Backrooms was that scary, which is true, but we'll get to that opinion much later, because it's best explained once the full context of the Backrooms is explained. I already have an intro on the conception of Backrooms as a concept and its creation, but I never really talked about the lore of the Backrooms, so let's talk about that. The yellow-tinted endless labyrinth has been dubbed Level 0, and it's the starting place of everyone who unfortunately ends up in the Backrooms through a cruel twist of fate. Noclipping. Noclipping is a term used in games, mostly popularized by the game Gmod. If you've ever seen speedruns or game glitches, you might have heard the term clipping. Every game is different and the method of how people clip into things varies, but common methods include bumping into areas of the map that don't quite have collision implemented, causing you to fall into the endless abyss. Yes, the idea of no clipping is what happens when you slip through everything, essentially clipping you out of this reality as we know it. It's theorized this happens when you interact with objects that aren't clipped themselves. Mysterious objects or physical things that you could end up falling through, but you'll never know until it happens. But if it does, you end up in Level 0. Level 0 is the setting of the first Backrooms post. The yellow walls, the fluorescent ceiling lights and all their hum buzzing in your ears constantly ringing, and the seemingly random segmented rooms that haven't generated properly. Level 0 is entirely devoid of entities, and it seems impossible to reconvene or encounter any other people in the level. It's approximately 600 million square feet of randomly generated rooms and hallways. You can wander for days, hours, and it seems like your hunger and thirst drain much slower than it should in real reality. But you're not in normal reality anymore. The Backrooms community doesn't often agree on everything. After all, what do you expect? It's not like every writer is gonna want the same exact story. However, there is an exception, and that's Level 0. It's pretty much universally agreed that Level 0 is immaculate. If you happen to no-clip again in Level 0, you'll end up in Level 1. Level 1 is much like Level 0. It's another seemingly randomly generated sets of rooms and hallways. But instead, this one is themed more like a parking garage with metal pipes and concrete. The sound ambiance is more of a distant clanging and loud banging. No matter how far away you seem to go, the sound will always follow and echo you. This level has some spooky monsters dwelling in it. And yes, these are the aforementioned entities. Entities is the term the Backrooms community has dubbed any anomalous creature or being that isn't a human. Some of the most iconic entities of the Backrooms include things like faceless humans called facelings. Breaking immersion for a second, facelings were one of the first conceived Backrooms entities, and it's highly likely they drew a lot of parallels from a similar writing community called the SCP, and specifically one of its stories, The Endless IKEA. The Endless IKEA is, well, an endless IKEA with randomly changing structures and its main danger being the employees, which are faceless creatures wearing the IKEA uniform. Hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, I'll just change it a bit so no one notices. Hounds are another iconic Backrooms creature. Their appearance is like humanoid quadrupedal with a more mutated looking appearance, crossed with a dog. Hey, wait a minute, look at that. It's a rare entity, we gotta get this on camera. That, my dear friend, is entity number 434, nicknamed Sub Button. Hey, did you know that if you click the sub button, it makes my subscribers increase? Huh? What happens if you don't click it? Listen to me, please, just click it. Wait, click it now, it's angry, before it— Ugh.
My master plan to unleash entity number 434 and take control of Milo channel has worked. I, the great twitch.tv/Pionta with 3 A's, am finally in control. Now all the cloud will be mine. Let's see, where were we? Here. Okay, so the Backrooms mainly holds is information on a wiki.dat that requires you to get approval from the administration before you can do any editing things. This is to have quality control. So they say. And I think it's all well and good. the Backrooms community seems to be pretty well regulated and managed. From the outside, they even host events on the website and are still active.
No, get out of here, you pest. This is my show.
Wait, you're supposed to be dead. No, put that down. No, what you gonna do with that? Guys, hey, https://www.youtube.com/PyonTaz_ch, alright? Subscribe now. No, get away from me!
Ugh, now that that's dealt with, you're probably wondering how I dealt with that entity back there. And despite all the eldritch beings that populate the backrooms, luckily we are still equipped with our trusty cell phones and Wi-Fi. Although reception can be a little spotty, plenty of posts straight out of the backrooms still manage to find their way onto our everyday forums. But the main conjugation site of the information is universally agreed to be on the Backrooms wiki.website, where it acts as an archive of all Backrooms knowledge. Breaking the fourth wall for a moment to talk about the actual inner workings of the website, the wiki.dot hosts countless writers and their creations, but in order to do so, it requires you to get approval from the administration before you get editing privileges. This is to have quality control, and I think that's probably the best method for a possible website like this. The Backrooms community seems to be pretty well regulated and managed. They even host several events on the website and are still active to this day. Before I move on from this expositional section, I must really emphasize that the Backrooms community and generally how it's run is incredible. It seems like a really creative community with all types of content creators, from artists to writers, and, well, video makers being able to make all types of content about it. And my personal opinion that I'm going to say doesn't change that, and this isn't meant to be a shot or be critical of the community. With that said, remember how the titles is The Backrooms Isn't That Scary, and when I told you I would explain why later? I just did. I just explained why the Backrooms isn't scary. Everything I told you, everything I explained, the monsters, the lore, the origin. When you have to explain why a joke is funny, it's not funny anymore. And when you explain horror and explore every aspect of a scary story, it's not scary anymore. There's a few reasons why I think the Backrooms aren't scary, but it's pretty much the root of the issue. As much as I think the community is really cool and they come up with a lot of cool stories and world building for this elaborate universe, it's almost like SCP. But the difference here is that SCP just isn't a horror thing. It's a setting in which it allows different writers and artists to build their own stories and go wild. If someone wants to create a story about a sentient teleporting chair that can go to the nearest person who is needed a place to rest and give them a nice spot to sit down, they can. There's plenty of other aspects I think make SCP an interesting concept, but that's another topic for another day. The thing you should take away from this is that horror works best when you don't know a lot of things. And communities and creations like SCP and the Backrooms, where you have thousands of writers and creators creating dozens and dozens of stories and descriptions that flesh out the world building and thoroughly explore every nook and cranny, it's hard to be scared of it. The idea of an endless labyrinth of randomly generated rooms is terrifying. It's a short burst, relatively vague short story that leaves a lot to your imagination. In fact, I think this is where I would have liked the story to end. No level 1, no level 2, 3, 4, or 5 and beyond. No entities or different sub-levels, just the limbo of being lost in a creepy, randomly segmented mass of rooms where you really truly are cripplingly alone. But the Backrooms is more than level 0. The Backrooms is level 0 to infinity and beyond. The Backrooms is a place that you can access with relatively known methods. It's a place filled with infinite levels and countless monsters roaming inside with detailed descriptions. There's safe zones, there's groups, there's alliances, there's explanations, and I don't like it. You know, I criticize the over-explanation and detail put into the Backrooms because it removes a lot of the scare factor, but otherwise it's pretty neat. It's like how mythological creatures like Bigfoot and werewolves and vampires or dragons probably originated as creepy, scary stories, but as time went on, they probably expanded to being more broad story elements that people can expand on to create their own unique stories. What's the point of this video? I don't know. But hey, this was a nice little neat glance down the rabbit hole that is the Backrooms. And to be honest, I think a glance is all you need. You know what, that's the message, kiddies. Don't think too hard about horror. Don't dig too deep if you value the experience of the scare factor. The best way a writer can mitigate this is to make their own unique stories and changes to the worlds as they like it. Call me an elitist, but I think that's how horror works best. Short and sweet. Hey, quick note, thank you so much for the explosive growth. I've gone from under 1,000 subscribers to almost 5,000, and I got monetized too. Just, you know, thanks.